Welcome back to Urban Magazine. My name is Mubarak Mugabo. Now, for a long time, it has been said that agriculture sector is the backbone of this economy and this country, and it employs majority of Ugandans. The question is, has government and authorities done enough to make sure that actually agricultural products are living to the expected quality? Urban Magazine this week interrogates this further.
It's popularly said that agriculture is the backbone of the economy in Uganda, employing over 60% of the population and contributing over 70% of export earnings. However, safety and quality of agricultural produce is of the utmost importance if consumers are to be protected, trade facilitated, and national export competitiveness ensured. But all this will only be achieved through food rights literacy.
When we talk about food security and food safety, it would be understood correctly if I started with food rights literacy. That for a very long time, people have not considered food as a right, not only the general public, but also the duty bearers. And when I say duty bearers, we mean government and local government, central government and local governments. Where we are right now, when we talk about food safety, in some places of the country, there is enough food in terms of quantity. But in some places, we actually do not have food. For example, in some parts of the rural communities, there is no food, although they are rural communities. And some parts of the town or urban centers, again, there is no food.
This means that every Ugandan will then know that they are entitled to food, whether through growing it or buying from the markets. But with government recently supplying food as the lockdown was announced, how did they rate, and was there more they should have done? Kabanda recommends that government empowers citizens to grow their own food rather than rely on handouts.
When we talk about food security, it is a three-approach issue. You must consider it from an issue of accessibility, that people are able to physically access food, or people are able to access food economically. And either as an individual, whether woman or man or child, or whether together as a community, can access physical food or have means of getting that food. That means two things. One, that as an individual, you must make some projections. People shouldn't just live. You must make projections about how you are going to feed, not only today, but tomorrow and maybe another month, and also your family. But individual people cannot effectively do that without the support from government. This is why we need government to come in, not to give people food handouts, except in very limited circumstances, but to put in place mechanisms and systems which allow people to feed themselves, which allow people to grow their own food, which allow people to store food in case they want to store food, which allow people to access food in affordable terms.
That is not all. It should also set up a national food reserve which will allow farmers to sell food at reasonable prices instead of the current situation that has seen food flooding markets but no spending power from the citizens. This would also protect Ugandans who, out of fear, stocked food as COVID-19 pandemic was first announced in Uganda in March.
The framers of our constitution under the Constituency Assembly put in our constitution that government must have national food reserves. And when they call them national, it means that it is a system. You must be able already to have projections that this country, this community X is growing this food and the other one does not. And maybe the tribes that are found in this particular part of the country feed like this, because food must be also adequate, not only in terms of the quantity, but also the cultural context. Some people eat malakwang, and other people have never even heard about the word in Uganda. Other people eat millet as their staple food, but other people eat matoke as staple food. So you realize that you cannot have a one size fit all. So this is why the constitution requires government to have national food reserves, meaning that if you have food in plenty, you store. And if the food is in scarcity, then you release food to go to communities. And we are not asking government to give people food. This is not what we are asking.
Food safety is vital to achieving sustainable development goals that include ending hunger, achieving food security and improved nutrition, promoting good health and well-being, while ensuring sustainable consumption and production. But the big question now remains whether it's about the quality or quantity of food on the market.
And now the second issue is about quality. You are talking about quality, and that one is taking us into food safety. Already it is also an aspect of food security, because the way food is grown, you realize that currently in Uganda we have too much unnecessary chemicals used in the gardens. Many people, even those who are not supposed to spray, now they have now come up with the culture of just spraying, even when they don't need to. They actually don't know the potent in these chemicals. They sometimes don't even know what the name of these chemicals. They actually don't know that these chemicals, and many of them are carcinogenic. When I say carcinogenic, it means that they can cause cancer. You understand? So they just spray. The question is, does government care to find out whether people, even when they have food, what they are eating is safe for their health? If that is not happening, then government is violating Ugandans' rights to health, right to life, and right to safe food.
And then COVID-19 happened, meaning that children have stayed home for months since schools were closed, and this has exposed them to all sorts of food adverts on TVs, which experts deem unhealthy.
Children are all the time on TV. Many of the households, for example, in urban centers, have TV. We are running a very big risk. The children are now being hooked onto unhealthy food products, because what you learn as a child is what you'll practice when you grow up. Secondly, the children are not yet of age of reason, so they think that whatever is being advertised is real. For example, you have seen people who are advertising sugar-sweetened beverages, showing youth becoming like other beings. And the children may think that when you take those drinks, you become like those people they saw on TV. So many children are going to become obese. Many children are going to hate health foods, because nobody is advertising health foods, by the way. It is looked at as a boring thing. It's not exciting. It's not stylish for you to eat unprocessed foods.
Whatever the case, health is wealth. But more needs to be done by government, as it is their mandate to ensure the well-being of its citizens.
We are in court asking court to order government to intervene, because although Uganda is a free market economy, in circumstances of this nature where we have COVID-19 disrupting all the social cohesion, government cannot fold their hands and say, for us it is the forces of demand and supply. You must come in, and it is also a legal requirement under the Constitution of Uganda that if anything happens that disrupts the normal life greatly disrupts the normal life of Ugandans, then government must come in to subsidize. Now, the second case is about non-communicable diseases. I'm telling you, if government does not come in now, many Ugandans may not survive the age 50. Many people are dying prematurely. I want to appeal to Ugandans that this is your life. The only person that needs to help us here is Mr. Government. If we can all wake up and say we need regulation, we are eating, but you are going to leave young families. You are going to leave children before they are of age because you're going to die early. The challenge with the food industry, the challenge we have is that these people take away two fundamental things from us. Every human being is looking at two things. The first thing is preservation of life. Everyone wants their lives, and life is precious and we must protect it. The second one is money. But what these food industries are doing, they take away your money and they take away your life eventually.
Therefore, for an open economy, it's all about forces of demand and supply. But it will remain critical to ensure that Ugandans eat foods that will not easily lead them to develop non-communicable diseases.
Well, on different occasions, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has always emphasized the need to mechanize and also commercialize our agriculture. But one point that has not been so much given attention is the fact of making sure that we increase on the quality of our agriculture sector and also products to make sure that we can compete in the outside market. All this can be done with all efforts put together. Thank you for watching Urban Magazine this week. My name is Mubarak Mugabo. We meet next week.